Woo! Hey, Aaron, where's my music, man?
Oh
Where's
God.
my music?
Well, this is a little too improv. I
Ah,
was actually we're gonna talk blues league.
There's your intro
yeah,
Hey,
music. There
good
you go.
special guest.
that's what I'm
cover
talking
for
about.
me.
Hey guys, Randy here, back again at Ovation Music and Studios. I got Aaron Keene as always. I think he's
Howdy.
this way. I can't ever tell which screen is which.
It's always opposite.
And right below us here, we have the granddaddy of them all from Charlotte, North Carolina, Mr. Caleb Davis.
What kind of is that a jab? The granddaddy of them all? Are you saying I'm old? I'm just
Barely. I mean, I feel like you're old compared to me, right? Like a year.
that's painful.
You're
The
actually
granddaddy
younger.
of them all.
You're actually younger than me.
Is that right?
I think so.
How old are you?
I was born in '84, so
Yeah, I was 85. You're the granddaddy of them all.
I'm the granddaddy of them all. You just graduated a year before me.
That's
so
right.
Caleb and I were in school together. Aaron doesn't know Caleb, so Aaron does all these podcasts with me, so I brought him on. Aaron is a local Gallatinite, Nashvilleian here. Phenomenal piano player, arranger, vocalist, guitar player. I don't know which instrument he's supposed to play because he does them all so well.
I've got our keyboard cam if we want to do any of that.
Oh, nice.
You can see any of these, like whatever you want to hear. We'll switch that.
Nice.
I'm ready. I'm covering that bass for us.
So, Caleb, you've recently started a YouTube channel. I guess you've always had a YouTube channel, but you've recently just, with the pandemic and everything, you've just gone full blast into this YouTube channel.
Yeah. So primarily, I would say 90% of my work was playing live, and I played just about 8 or 9 times a week, all the time. 300 gigs a year, and that came to a screeching halt. And I was sitting there going, and so I'm the kind of person, I don't really sit really well. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not very still. And so I sat around and I was like, well, I can wait and see if maybe this comes back around, or I can do something else in the meantime. So I thought, well, let's just be proactive and see if we can start an online presence. And I mean, right now it's at the ground level, so it's not a lot happening with it, but I'm building it. I had to learn how to do computers. I'm a Neanderthal when it comes to that stuff, man. I've spent all my time on this. I've spent no time on this, so I'm working it out.
Well, I always tell everybody I only know how to run Pro Tools. If I have to do anything else with the computer, I have to call guys like Aaron because I don't really know. He's got to he'll have his keyboard doing all kinds of controls for him. Man.
But you're good at the Pro Tools stuff, though, man.
So
sure.
We lost.
Give yourself some credit.
Yeah.
The Pro Tools stuff is Pro Tools stuff, but it's not.
But you're good at it.
You just do it a lot. Well, thank you, man. But yeah, this coronavirus thing and the pandemic and everything got shut down. So at Ovation here, we do, so my wife and I opened this business about, I guess, almost 6 years ago now. And we're teaching in-person private music lessons. Now, in rooms that are, lesson rooms. What are they, 8 by 10 for one of the large rooms. The drum room's 13 by 10 or something like that. They're fairly small areas. Awesome. And so it like killed everything entirely for 2 weeks, and we're back and we're wearing masks in the store with students, and it's strange, man. It's been weird getting back.
Yeah.
Cost.
That's what I do that during the day. I have a little lesson business I run here. I have 2 other teachers that work with me, and yeah, dude, we don't wear masks. We just come on in, let's have a party. So yeah.
Well, I think that has to go with what's the exposure rate in your area as well. And I haven't seen Charlotte hasn't been peaking on the news at all. So
I honest to goodness have no idea. I have no clue.
We had to learn about it. We made national news, so it was pretty terrible.
With high rates.
Yeah. So it was pretty bad, but we don't really want to get into politics. We want to get into guitars. And so I brought my Telecaster here for Caleb. I even pulled the red one out instead of the other red one.
I love it.
Because Caleb, you didn't bring, this isn't the old Telecaster though.
Let's see. Which one are you looking for?
The one you were playing in college, what was that, a 68?
Oh, hang on.
The blonde. This guitar is so beautiful. I'm gonna make him go get it.
I feel left out. My red telly is away from me right now.
Is this it?
That one. So I got to play that guitar last time I was in Charlotte because you had it
Yep.
on the gig with you.
Yep.
You know that was almost 10 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Has it
Yeah.
been that long? You're
It's
still
been-
just as handsome as ever, dude. That's amazing.
Man.
Has it really been almost a decade?
It's been a decade.
Yikes.
Oh.
Yeah, because it was like a year after I graduated. I was on tour with Shay Littlejohn, and we stopped in Charlotte to play some house party shows. And Caleb we were playing like 4 in the afternoon. It was awesome. And so we got to go out and see Caleb playing. I think you were on your 3rd show that day.
That was awesome. I remember that, man. You came and sat in. That was a blast.
Oh, so much fun. So much fun. So let's get to it here. What is your favorite blues lick?
All right. So when you said this to me, I was like, I had a little bit of time to think about it. And all these hot licks came into my brain. But the truth is, and this is going to be really kind of anticlimactic here. This is my favorite. You ready? It's a little microtonal bend that when it happens, it's the nastiest thing in the world. All right? And it's nothing fancy. It's this right here. That right there. That's my favorite. I know is that even a lick? But it's when you do that little, it's not a half step. It's like, there's so many of them. It's at the tail end of every single note.
Yeah.
It's like, if I go, those little microtonal bends, those are my favorite. I don't know why. It's not as cool to me as, to do a. It's that little one at the end that kills me.
That's the cool one. Interesting. So we had a bet going. I said you'd pick the same one that we picked because Aaron and I actually picked the same lick. We did it.
Yeah, completely unscripted. Went like, oh yeah, that one.
Which one did you guys pick?
Oh man.
I'll let you do, Randy. Your guitar.
That concept that Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck. Or I like the Jeff Beck one. but I still trail it off with that bend at the end.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That bend is it. So that right there, I would summarize all of that in just by calling it the Chuck Berry, because isn't that kind of where it all came from, right?
I think he's the credited for it. I don't know if any of this stuff came from 50s guitar players. They all listen to 40s guitar players. Right.
Yeah. I know that's kind of a lame, you would think it would be like some super hot lick or something, but it's not. It's the little
in between that you add. Yeah. Now I'm assuming that you picked that up because you listen to a lot of Clapton as well.
So I'll tell you this, my Clapton is Cream. That's where I'm pretty much rooted in the Clapton, but Clapton never got tons of focus from me, not because of course I love Clapton. But I was more as a kid in North Carolina, the Southern guys, they had kind of a draw for me. So Stevie Ray was like a big guy that I listened to a lot. And of course, Dwayne and Dickie. And you hear a lot of that in that playing. I do love Clapton. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, Clapton, I'm more listening to Clapton for the band of Cream and the sound than the individual guitar playing. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I always the riff you picked. To me that was always the Texas Flood bend.
Yeah,
that's because he would do it 4 going to 5. And you go, he'd also do it on the third, and he would pull back on that little string and grab the third there, and his
Yep.
his quarter and 3/4 tone bends. It was Texas Flood is full of them, and I'm sure
Yep.
you have one where you bend up that E string and you catch the B string and you bring it back home with you, you know?
Oh yeah.
And then you get that one too. Yeah, bingo, bingo, bango. That's like it always comes after one of those. He's like microtone bend, and then B
And then
strings
the big
come back
boy.
home. Yeah.
Now
love that.
I will say a really short second place is another bend, but it's the I don't really know if where it comes from. I know it's been popular in a lot of the David Gilmour riffs, but it's the double bend, like where it's like a like if I was to go like a like a woo woo, like
Yeah.
bend it and then go grab it again. That's always a cool one. And
That's-
you can even slide into it, like a
Yeah, that's
one of the-
definitely Gilmore to me.
That's
Yeah.
super Gilmore.
Yeah.
that the second one. I'll tell you, the first one is that second one. It almost strikes me as a Derek Trucks kind of thing without a slide.
I can see that.
So like if I was to go like a, like I don't have a slide, or you can't even see my guitar,
I
can you?
can't even see the guitar, but
Well, I'm
Yeah, like,
imagining
it sounds great though.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
you slide it, you slide into it, and then come back for a bend. I don't know.
Oh, now
Yeah, no. Like when you got that, like you get that, like you can get a bend that goes from like flat 7 back home to 1, and then you slide up to 1, and if you're feeling saucy, you go further up to that minor third, or you just go to 2, which is like
I
a thing
like
Joe
that if you're
Walsh did a
feeling
lot of.
saucy. Yeah.
I mean, you're feeling saucy sometimes. You get the spirit of that bend, and you go that one fret higher feeling.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's such.
You gotta
such cool
always feel
choices.
saucy.
the sauce is the extra quarter step at the end though. When you do that.
If you're not feeling saucy, you just need to stay home that day.
Get out of the kitchen if you're not saucy.
That's right. That's right, brother. All right. So your guy's favorite blues riff was the.
Yeah, the Plug Fairy idea, as you say it. I think I picked it up from Jeff Beck. But it's in everything. Everybody's used it.
What a monster that guy is.
Beck?
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Is Beck the most? Is Beck the most unafraid guitar player on the planet?
Tommy Emmanuel's
Tommy
right
Emmanuel.
up there with him.
Yeah.
different level, but he's
But
Yeah.
yeah, when you talk about, I saw Jeff Beck. I guess it's been 10 years now or so, and everything happened 10 years ago because time just has gotten away from me. But I got to go with my uncle to go see Jeff Beck, and that he's older, 60 at the time, 50, late 50s, early 60s at the time, and he's on the edge of his playing. His whole notes are on the edge of his playing. He doesn't play anything unless it's 100%.
Yeah, and that's what I think he's kind of always reinvented himself, and that's what I mean by dangerous is like the guy. I mean, people have said Beck is hit or miss, but to me, I look at that and I go, okay, yeah, maybe Beck is hit or miss in a sense of do my notes turn out the way that I hope they turn out. But that's because he's taking chances, and I love the fact that a guy still goes out there after this many decades of being in the show and goes, man, I'm still going to go for something that maybe this doesn't work. I mean, you got to think, man, that takes balls,
That's the excitement of seeing live playing, right? Like,
Absolutely.
It kind of sucks to go out there and see just the record again,
Yeah.
I gotta admit, some bands I do like to go see the record again because it's like, can they actually do this?
Yeah, sure.
Dream Theater, like going to see them, but even those guys, it's not exactly like the record. They're still playing on the edge, and some of the stuff they wrote in their record is on the edge, but it's not like Jeff Beck's on the edge. I mean, literally, sometimes you don't even know if the note's going to come out when he goes to play it because he's ripped on the whammy bar too hard before the note happens, or he misses the volume knob on a volume swell. But he's full blast. Amps are cranked up. It's.
I watched the concert recently of Return to Forever from back in like '76 or something.
Bill Connors. Were you going to say Bill Connors?
Well,
Daniola.
it was actually the original 4. It was White, Demiola, Clark, and Korea, and they were doing Romantic Warrior the whole album, and I was like, man, I gotta see this. It was on like some public broadcasting channel or something. So in that sense, I was really like, there's no way, because I heard that, I've been listening to that record since I was a kid, and I knew that there was going to be way too much for those four to pull off live. Nah, man. They pulled off Chick just stood there with 15 keyboards around him and was just like an octopus, back there doing this, and every sound was coming out exactly right. And I was like, so in that sense, I was really kind of dumbfounded by their ability to recreate the exact sounds. But then you go to somebody like, even Gilmore. I know we said Gilmore earlier, but there's some, like, if you go back and listen to Zeppelin stuff, nothing ever sounds the same live. It doesn't even sound like the same song half the time.
I would argue that it doesn't sound like the same band half the time.
That is what I'm saying. It's like it's always something. So when I used to live in Tennessee, and when I was there, a buddy of mine, actually a school buddy, took me to Third and Lindsley to see, and let's just not name any names, but there was a group there, and they were top call session players, and they played, and it was flawless, right? It was just completely
every single note.
It was completely like flawless, but I have to say that with that, it was sterile.
Uh-huh.
So with that kind of perfection, all the soul and the life was just kind of like squeezed out of it, to the point where I kind of disappointedly sat there going, like, this is kind of, I'm not trying to, there's a place for those guys, and their place is making records in the studio where that needs to be perfect. But live, that didn't translate for me. And I really didn't know that until I sat down and listened to them, and I went, wow, this is like borderline boring, because it's so like spot on. So I would much rather take that. I'm sorry, here's coming full circle. You ready? I would much rather take that Jeff Beck thing and be electrifying every night and keep people on the edge of their seat going, I don't know what the crap this brother's getting ready to do. This might work, it might not, but this is going to be fun.
And if it doesn't go well, you got tomorrow night. If you go for something and it doesn't come out, nobody's going to fire you.
Right.
In a studio, they will. You will get fired because I don't have time to roll tape again. You wasted 15 minutes at $5 a minute. I don't have time for that.
Yep. And coincidentally, I've not done a whole lot of session work in my life.
Oh, well, that's interesting you mentioned that, because one of my greatest experiences at Berkeley was you in a session.
Oh, that was so much fun. God, that was fun.
I would say you produced the band, because all I did was just track, engineer, and mix, and then you put this band together. And
I will never forget getting that back from you and listening to the guitar, and I recorded it going, is that me? Because you did the trick, and it was my first experience with the trick, where you took my guitar track and you doubled it, and then you offset it just a little bit from the other one. Yeah. And then I think you panned them hard both sides. It sounded like a wall of sound.
Well, we were doing a Steve Morris song, and that's how Steve Morris tracked his guitar in that same song. And I can't. What was it? Cruise Control that y'all did?
It was Blood-Sucking Leeches.
Blood-Sucking Leeches. Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same song. Sometimes when you write, you write the same song over and over again.
Hey, did I ever tell you my Rod Morgenstein story about that?
Oh, no. At Berkeley?
So Rod was, when we were there, I think Rod's still there, but Rod was a professor in the drum department, definitely when we were there. And, he was the Dixie Dregs drummer, and like a bunch of other people like Warrant and I don't know who else, like White Snake Winger. Or something like Winger. That's what it was, Winger, yeah. And but I knew him from the Dregs. Well, I knew I was going in to record this song with you, and I said, dude, it took me a while. I had to had a brown paper bag out there just trying to get my nerve together. And I walked in and I was like, hey, Rod, like first name basis. I'm recording one of your songs over here at Studio A or whatever, and I didn't know if maybe you would want to come record with us. And he was like, oh, man, I'm actually going to be in China. And I went, well, I didn't tell you when it was going to be. It's like, you could have just said no, but it said,
I'm going to be the furthest place away from you possible.
Right.
On the planet.
Hey, get out of my office, you student. All right, so check this out. It gets better. He said, just out of curiosity, which song are you guys recording? And I said, we're doing Blood-Sucking Leeches. And he went, how's that go? Like, come on, man. You gotta know your own songs, right?
Well, he doesn't play with Blood-Sucking Leeches is a Morris band song, and Rod doesn't play those songs live.
Yeah.
So he did the record, but didn't play them live. That's what's his name? The dude who did the Backstreet Boys stuff, Van Romain.
You mean Rod was not on like Bring 'Em Back Alive and stuff? That was not Rod? That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So I'd have to look at the album credits. I feel like Southern Steel On was Van Romain.
Wow.
But we got to go back through. I'd have to go back and look at the albums. I actually have those on vinyl too.
Awesome. I love that you have Steve Morse albums and Dixie Dregs. I mean, Dixie Dregs were nuts.
Yeah. Aaron, did you get into, I know you're much more of the Return to Forever. You know those guys really well.
Oh, when Caleb, when you dropped that name, I was like, you probably can't see it, but behind me is like a 3-tone print thing of like a Chick Corea photo that was I had some friends make just because I like Chick Corea so much. But
you see my monk? I got my monk behind me.
Nice.
Everybody's got piano players in the background. I got Mr. Alien Head.
Well,
I've got a Django one that's like right off frame. You can't see Django Reinhardt, but he's chilling out over here.
I got Mr. Frank Zappa down there.
There you go.
This is your new music room that you updated for the videos.
Yeah, well, it's been, it wasn't, I've had this done like this for a couple of years. It was convenient that this would make a nice backdrop for the videos.
Works out that way sometimes.
Yeah, especially when you're having to start from square one and buy cameras and lights and programs and computers and software.
Dude, same.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat. I decided to, with Aaron, since we're doing this, we can't really be in person. Our county was really bad with the coronavirus. We had to close for 2 weeks entirely. And we went to online lessons. I decided to start doing this podcast stuff. And it's been easy just to use the computer and run off that speaker. But I hated the audio. So you'll see I've got an actual, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I got a mic here and running through my Pro Tools rig.
Of course you do.
So it sounds a little bit cleaner for me. And then I've been playing with the camera, but it's really a baffle for me. And editing, I'm lost. Aaron, you can go to his page.
Yep.
I can't tell which side it's supposed to be on.
It's the one it's the opposite of the one you think it is.
Yeah. Aaron Keene Music Lessons. Aaron's doing some super in-depth, like Adam Neely type videos, like 20, what was the new one, 20 minutes long almost?
I try to make it shorter, but you make that thesis. You're like, I'm going to teach people how to do the Chet Atkins harp harmonics, the Tommy Emmanuel thing. And you write the first thing and you go like, well, you shouldn't stop there because, you know what I mean? There's like, so I ended up like, I don't know. For me, like, it's just like, I can't quit talking. It's the same thing I do in a lesson. It's like, well, I want to make sure I can get you from there to there, wherever you are. So yeah, it's like a 20-minute long, I've only done a couple, but every time I write a script, it's like, I'm like 3 hours later, I'm like, I still have more to say. And then it ends up turning into like 20 minutes of footage by the time it's pared down. But
that's all right.
It's all new to me too, man. Like it's been, like I got was it right here? I finally got one of these guys. I got a mirrorless camera and I'm like, oh my God, I'm shooting, like, and of course my computer is outdated. So I've got, new stuff I've had to upgrade. And I learned about proxies, for video editing. And it's like, I'm like, what's up?
Is that a Canon M50?
Yes, it is. Are we Canon? Are we M50 brothers now? Yes, we're on the same page, dude.
Oh,
Oh,
apparel.
you got the white body too.
I like the white ones.
Yeah.
I dig it. It looks clean. It looks like Caleb Davis music having the white. It's I know that seems subtle, but when you're branding, like having that sharpness in the background is gonna be important.
I
And
like it.
Caleb's videos, you guys, we're gonna
Yeah.
put links in the bottom too, down. Caleb's videos are like the opposite of Aaron's. They're like super short and really direct for the most part so far.
Some
The
of them are.
reviews,
Some of them are.
you know, I feel like the gear reviews are gonna get a little bit longer, but they have to.
Yeah.
Love the
And
little milkman
I,
copy amp you're playing with.
oh yeah, yeah. And I've got some like I just finished a 24 part comprehensive overview of triads. So some of them, like the stuff I'm putting out every day, is like a real, like I try to do like a real short video every day of like just how to play a cool riff, something, just something.
Yeah. You've done some cool riffs too.
And then like 3 times a week, there's something like more in depth, like a review or a, something else. And then I have these lesson series I'm working out. And like I said, that one, the triad series, it's one of those where like the first 4 lessons, we don't even touch an instrument. It's just a chalkboard, and like, writing. And so those kind of things are going to be several hours long, but I just break them up so that they're like in parts. So it makes a little more sense,
Yeah, that's where I started some sweep picking lessons. Everybody asks me about my sweep picking because I use it over blues songs, which I actually think I do it because it's funny. And I think a lot of people miss the idea that it's comedy.
I love it.
I think Frank Gambale does sweeping over blues really well. I think it's a thing that sounds great.
He also picks interesting notes. I don't pick interesting notes.
Well, okay.
I'm very diatonic, neoclassical sweep picking over blues.
I like it.
To me, it sounds funny. But some people have been asking me how to do it, and I started going like, "Oh, how can I teach this?" Well, you got to do 2 strings first. So let's start with a video on 2 string sweeping that you're never gonna use.
You'll use a 2-stringer every now and then.
You can use it, man. As soon as I learned Scotty, I took from Scotty at Berkeley, and he taught me to hybrid pick. And ever since I started hybrid picking, I quit the 2-string sweeps.
Yeah.
The 2-string sweep is the foundation nugget of the Eric Johnson 5s, So
Which is why I can't do the Eric Johnson 5s. Caleb.
That with the hybrid, you're kind of, that's in the like if you're doing the 2-string deal, that's more like the Mark Knopfler territory.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I picked it up because being from Georgia, I picked it up from Jimmy Herring and listening to the Panic stuff. And
man, you gotta love Jimmy Herring. I was listening to Colonel Bruce Hampton's Aquarium Rescue Unit the other day. That's good. That's good stuff, man.
That's something you don't hear every day.
Oh, it's so good though.
It was Glenn Campbell that got me into the hybrid picking stuff.
Glenn Campbell.
He does some great. Like
being from Nashville, Aaron, did you find that the guitar players are slightly different that you heard about as kids than other?
Well, the thing, I promise this won't turn into a 3-hour script to answer this question. I will pare it down in this moment, but most guys, Hendrix was that first gateway for me, and then it went to Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then it went to a lot of really, the great blues players. And then when I saw Tommy Emmanuel, I started digging backwards, going, where's all this coming from? And my grandfather was a big Jerry Reed fan, and he constantly gave me tons of. So he was like, "You're gonna, he's basically like, you're gonna learn the claw for my birthday," and I'm like, "Okay." And so I learned that 3-string but 4 fingers crossover thing that you do to hit that double on the G string kind of thing. And I just spent a lot of time with Jerry Reed stuff for a while, and then I started working on Chet Atkins and getting the Boom Chick, and then and then you find out that a lot of guys, I guess like the biggest studio name of Nashville area guys, Brent Mason, and saw that he had a thumb pick, and I was like, hey, that's the same thing that Jerry and Chet use, and his was like his version of, like of taking some of those techniques and his double stops that he uses a la Jerry Reed, but to like a very insane level. And of course he wears his influences on his sleeve. But yeah, a lot of Nashville guitarists, like, there's an old school thing that Chet still got his thing from earlier people too. But he of course like did a lot of groundbreaking techniques and
Merle
and
Travis kind of thing.
Merle Travis, and even a little bit of the Wildwood Flower. The oh my God, like early country.
You
With
talking about like
I can't think of her name.
Carter's?
Yeah, Yeah, like getting that like the bass is moving so independently of the stuff above it. Like there's this big, long, deep foundation of this stuff that this town everybody's got some roots, and some of them don't
And
even know where
everybody's
they come from.
really
Like
good at that here in Nashville.
I mean, there's no that's that's
It's amazing I survived because I can't do it at all.
it's
Terrible at that.
but I mean that like 90s country did it, but after 90s country you don't see a lot of that.
Well, it was
Yeah.
great because when I moved here in 2010, everything had completely changed. They didn't want guitar players doing that as much. They wanted more guys that were a little.
Yeah, it's more rock. I mean, I guess to be very genre.
Yeah.
It changed to that, which was great
Bottlenecking.
for me. So I've been able to play quite a bit more than I maybe should.
Nah, you
Give
can't.
yourself more credit.
I was gonna say, man, you can't hide beast mode, man.
I want to be in the studio so much more though. I love sitting in and experimenting with recordings, and it's tough to be on stage and then come in and work on Pro Tools and tinker, and then it gets a little confusing for me.
Yeah.
Now trying to run a store, this is just a lot going on, so I don't play as much now. It's I can feel it. It's more of a feel thing. Maybe the audience doesn't hear it, but I like feel my hands. I'm like, oh, I didn't play 4 hours a day.
Oh, brother, no, that's a real thing. The truth is, I mean, and it's a crappy truth to admit, but I'm probably at my lowest point playing wise I've ever been. I've spent so much time trying to learn how to edit on computers.
Yeah.
For the past 2 or 3 months, dude. I'm up to about which I'm super grateful for. Don't get me wrong. I'm up to about a gig a week, maybe 2 gigs a week now,
Solo,
which is way better than it was. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's nothing like it used to be, but from April, if you could think mid-March was like the last gig I played when I actually played 1 week after the shutdown. Somebody was still brave enough to host an event, and I went and played for it. But after that, man, I didn't play all the way through April, May, probably June. I mean, I think the end of June was like when I first started going back out. So, man, yeah, I'm with you 100%, dude. My chops they're down at the lowest point they've been in years and years and years.
Well, yeah, and you come from 300 plus shows a year. Now, a lot of people think, oh, you're playing 300 days a year. I know Caleb. I know a lot of that is I play coffee shop at noon as a solo act. I play a small dinner party as a duo. Then I go play a night shift.
Yeah, it's straight blue collar. It's nothing fancy.
So a lot of three shows in one day sort of working, as opposed to one 45-minute set every single day of the year. So you get lots of time off with the family, which is nice. But, you're also working 12, 13-hour days, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Because we also have, I have 50 students myself. I cut off at 50, and then the other guys that work for me have 35 and the other guy has 25. So we have a lot of people coming in, and this is all, you've been to my house, right?
I didn't get a chance to come to the house. We were only able to come out that night for the show, and then we were back to DC,
So this is all at my house. So it's never, there's never a stopping point. In fact, that's what I tell everybody when they're like, it's like students of mine that want to get into music and they want to make a living playing music. And I'm like, well, that's great. I mean, if you think there's something about this that is simple or easy, or you think you're not going to have to literally be 35 years old and still hustling every day of your life, then you might want to consider doing something else. Like maybe go be a pharmacist or something. I don't know. But like, what I mean by that, sorry, that's
the hustle is the work in the music.
Absolutely.
We don't work at work. When we're sitting here shooting these videos, when I'm on stage playing, when I'm in the studio recording, I'm not at work. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. It's all the stuff that makes that happen. Yep.
And then, so after the hustle is done and after the gig is done, all right, for you to keep furthering yourself, which a lot of people don't, and that's cool. Like if you want to stay where you're at, you know, like you look at Keith Richards, he came out, you know, I think Keith from 1964 sounds pretty much just like the Keith Richards from 2020. Like, you know, like Keith didn't need, well, or want to get better. He just had his thing, and that's what he did.
We wanted to
But
play old blues.
But if you want to keep moving, then you've got to find time after that gig. I don't care if it's an hour, you get home at 1 a.m, you got to practice till 2 a.m. That's a real thing. You know, like the work never stops. and the moment you let up on your horn just a little bit is the moment you go, I can't quite pull off what I used to be able to pull off. That sucks.
Yeah, and somebody 5 years younger, 10 years younger than you just flies by. And we're watching, you know, now teaching, we're watching kids 20 years younger than me start flying by. I mean, it's getting, you know, it's tough to keep the chops up. Aaron has a unique situation because he has to do it on piano as well.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you even manage to conceptualize? Do you a lot of head practice? Is that
Oh, no.
I mean, I imagine you have to practice a lot inside your mind to keep up with 2 instruments.
That's a great question. I got to put in the time, same as anybody, you know, it's, you gotta, I think sometimes if I want, I'm usually so much more interested in learning something new that like sometimes to keep the chops up in your bread and butter kind of stuff, like, you know, I will put that time in, but like a lot of times, like if I'm like, oh, I want to learn how to do this thing better, I usually get more out of it by picking out a song I've never learned before, because I feel like the more new things you grab, it gives solid ground to the old things. So I don't really, a lot of times I don't want to like, you know, and I'm sure I do it anyway because I don't think about it. I just don't think, and I go, and, you know, and I just do a thing, and I'll just sit there, and that's not very constructive practicing. But, you know, like it kind of is too, because you're just, you know, you're going through those. But I'm not very regimented with the stuff I feel like I know well. I'm more regimented about, wow, I've never, you know, what the heck did Larry Carlton just do then? I want to figure out exactly what he just did. And usually the understand, you know what I mean? But, you know, I also just noodle. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. I'll sit there and noodle for a bit. I'm not above that. I love that.
That's
But,
the
you know,
hardest. That's the hardest part about shooting any kind of video, especially since I'm holding a guitar in my hand, to just not. You see me moving my hands, and
yeah,
it's so hard not to just reach up. And just
That's what Frank Zappa called the vegetable sections of the song.
the vegetable sections.
Yeah, so like he'd have Inca Roads, right, which is super complex all the way through.
Yeah.
But then there's this 8-minute period where it's just like, all right, boys, let's jam. You know, here's like one chord, let's play. And if you pay attention to Zappa's trends, I mean, you're gonna have Zombie Wolf where everything is through composed, and then all of a sudden there's a big old section where it's like, all right, this is my chance to just go veg out and play. I don't need to think anymore. So those were the vegetable sections. Those are always good.
And that's probably what makes Zappa interesting for me, because he combines what we started talking about at the beginning of the video with the whole do the thing like the album versus going for it. Zappa found a way to combine those two concepts. So you have to do it like the album. And the album's so complicated that it's hard to do. I mean, he had to have the best musicians in the world to pull this stuff off. And then he'd have sections where there's nothing written on the page whatsoever. Or he'd give the greatest piano player on the planet whole notes for 2 minutes, just to see if he could play whole notes for 2 minutes without stretching out.
It's true. Who you referring to? George Duke? Who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a hilarious interview, and he's talking about Zappa giving him whole notes, and he's like, I didn't come to play whole notes.
it was like South Park hiring Jerry Seinfeld to be a turkey in an early episode.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it, right? He didn't get it.
I thought he was credited as. You know what I mean?
Did he do it? Okay.
Yeah, I thought, they're like, oh, Jerry Seinfeld really wants to be on South Park, and then they finally said like, okay, but he's going to be a turkey, and he's like, bah, 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 like, and that's all they put in the episode.
One of the
Like
guys,
turkey number 7, Jerry
Yep.
Seinfeld. It's like something like that.
one of the guys they had on didn't get it, and I don't remember who it was. I thought it might have been him, but they said they had George Clooney come on, and he totally got it, and he just barked like a dog. He's like, "Woof, woof, woof," and then that was it. It was like, there's
Sorry, maybe it's a weird analogy, but that's just when you said that, making
Yeah,
George
it's
Duke
great.
play whole notes. I'm like,
that's great, man.
I mean,
You got-
let's face it, George Duke could play whole nose better than anybody on this planet. But there's no
You got
reason. I could also hire a 7-year-old to play whole notes for me, you know?
You got a Ferrari that's being a golf cart, basically. It's your caddy. That's right.
I love it. Man,
Yeah,
well, we're
man.
getting on here. The gigs are coming in again, so I'm gonna go do some tech studio stuff. Caleb Davis music, everybody. You gotta go check this guy out. I figured if nothing else, I'd be like, well, I talked to him before he was famous.
Oh.
oh, you're trying to get on board early, huh?
I'm
That's
trying to
what
get
this
on
is.
board early. Well, Caleb is. I meant to talk about this. Caleb is interesting because Caleb managed to play music in public for a living, and from what I've watched, you've never really gone on tour.
No, I did. I did when I lived in Nashville, and a little bit when I moved back here. But when I moved back to Charlotte, this is where I'm from. But when I moved back to this area, I would do like some spot things here and there. But you're correct. I mean, other than a couple years after school, I did tour the country pretty extensively for about 2 years after school. But nah, man, it's been locked down, and I've been I've kind of cemented myself in the Charlotte area, and people know now to, it's kind of like I'm the call for live music, if you need something. So if you need wedding or blues gig or a jazz trio or, it's just that, just try to make myself available to fill any role I can fill. I did a luau this year, which was awesome.
a lot of half-step chords.
I took a lap steel out and a volume pedal and just
Oh, you actually played lap steel?
well, now what do you mean by actually played lap steel? I
You physically carried a lap steel and played
yes. I took a lap steel out and made it sound like a luau. I will not say that I played a lap steel. It's kind of like if you're good at something, you know how not good you are at other things, So I would not say that I was a lap steel guy.
I love it.
But I will say that I milked the fool out of that lap steel on that luau gig, and it was awesome.
That's so creative and outside the box. I hope kids are watching it and talking when you talk about the hustle and doing it. You're the biggest fish in not the largest music pond in the world. Charlotte's a huge city. It's bigger than Nashville is, but it's not the biggest music city on the planet. And
No, it's not the
just
biggest
tearing
music
it up
city
there.
in the
You're raising
state.
your family. You got a beautiful room to shoot film in and teach kids in. I mean, I think your amplifier costs more than the whole guitar rig I carry out live. In Nashville, I'm scared my stuff's going to get stolen, so I don't carry my expensive stuff anywhere.
I love my splawns, man. Yeah. That's actually a local guy.
I didn't know he was local to Charlotte. I knew. I'll give a shout out to Chris Pillars from my hometown in Georgia. He's been a splawn player since the beginning. He was a splawn player back when I was in high school, and the dude was just getting started.
Yeah.
Right? That's like 20 years ago when he was getting started, right?
Yeah. We were just finishing high school when he went out. Yeah. He endorses me, and so I've played his products for quite some time. I love them. I mean, they're, you can kind of, I think what's probably a large misconception on Splawn is that they're heavy metal amps, and I mean, you can play heavy metal on them,
But or you can were like JTM 45, like JCM 800s.
Yeah, they're like hot rodded plexis.
Hot rodded plexis. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I describe heavy metal to me.
No, the one I'm running through right now is like a hot rodded plexi.
So yeah, this is a solid state plexi. because
Yeah.
it's more durable, and I don't have
And
to,
then-
and I don't have to turn it up.
And then this little guy right here. Can you see this one?
Oh yeah.
So this little guy is like it's just a smaller version of that. And actually, I've got another one on the way. It's more of a modern. You would love it. It's more of a modern amp. It's called the Nitro.
Okay. Yeah, that's more like this dual super lead,
Yep.
which
This
I'm
is like
loving. It's fun amp.
it's KT88s. It's 100 watt. It's got the the resonance.
Way tighter.
Yeah.
Than 88s and it better bottom end.
Yeah, and I'm doing four vintage 30s.
So you're playing with a super tight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on that one. That's like you said, that's the new one, and that's going to be different. This one has cream backs.
Okay.
And it's the EL34s, and but cool thing about this one, he puts it's called a drop B plus switch. So like if you want to get the so Scott Splawn is a Van Halen junkie. That's his thing. He loves Eddie. So he put a sag on the back of it. So it's like you have to hit standby, but you drop the B plus, it takes the voltage down. So it really kind of rounds over that sound and gives you that brown sound without having to, put an attenuator or anything on your amp like Van Halen would, with a dimmer switch for a house or something, So it's basically a built-in sag. It's really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been using the JHS stuff.
Oh yeah, the Angry Charlie or whatever.
Yeah, I've got a version 2, I think. It's pretty early version. There's even version 4 now.
Those Angry Charlies are nasty.
It's a great pedal, man, especially when you
yeah.
plug it through a Marshall circuit. But I've been carrying the solid state ones out because I can replace them cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, if I drop it, it's not the end of the world. If it gets stolen, I'm upset and I'll file my insurance claim eventually. But it's not gonna break me like if I lose some of the more expensive gear.
Yeah, that's cool. So is business going well for you guys? I mean, like, I know we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but I mean, like,
the world, it's picking back up. Things are strange. Things are strange. Aaron's one of our teachers here. He's doing 2 days online and then 2 days in the shop.
Yep.
And then Jared from the band Repeat. They just released 2 new singles this week. Really good players, is here a couple days a week in the shop. And then I'm covering siblings, so we minimize the number of people in the store. And so it's a very interesting way to work. I mostly don't teach. I mostly handle
you're the facilitator
and rent checks and the management things. And then I sit in my back room and work on records in my on the side. So
and you're still doing that? You're still producing, like mixing and engineering and producing people?
Yeah. I've got a couple projects coming out. One from Scorched Vatica, really heavy, really heavy band. A lot of fun to record. And then another pop rock band from one of Aaron's students, Jack. His band, Saunders Ferry, is going to be releasing 3 tracks this fall. So yeah, I got some projects to work on, man.
I do miss that a lot about that area. Like, just the volume of quality musicians is unreal. I mean, it's unreal.
Yeah. It's a lot of people have moved, but there's still more. I mean, there's more triangle players in Nashville than there are anywhere else in the world that are good at it.
There you go. They'll get you something out of a triangle. I love that. Hey, do you ever see you remember Greg Burrows?
I don't.
Okay. He went to school. He was right with us, and he lives down there. That's actually a bunch of cats that moved down there that were in our class. And I have Justin Butler. Is he still around? Do you know?
I'm not sure, man. Gallatin's really, like, I'm just far enough outside of Nashville to not really know what's going on in Nashville.
Okay. Gallatin. So I lived in Goodlettsville.
Yeah. That's like 15 miles, Aaron, or so south.
Yeah.
So the city's way bigger now than it was when you were here. Like Goodlettsville's like downtown Nashville size almost now.
Really?
It feels like traffic wise it is.
Goodlettsville, I'm gonna tell you something, man. Goodlettsville was sketchy when I lived there. I was like, I mean, people were just slightly off kilter in Goodlettsville, and businesses were weird, and like you always had a strange experience when you went out to eat in Goodlettsville. It was like,
Are you including the Rivergate area, like in between?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had some of the weirdest encounters with people, man. I had a dude straight up want to fist fight me at a bat when you remember that movie? Let's see, it was the
Warriors.
It was, I can't remember if it was the first or the second Batman. I think it was the one with the Joker.
Yeah.
When it
the
came,
Nolan ones, you're saying?
Yeah,
Dark Knight Rises.
that's right. When Heath Ledger was the Joker, there's a dude that straight up wanted to fight me in the movie theater over nothing. I mean, just wanted to fight. And I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, man, me and my wife. I didn't have any kids at the time. I was like, me and my wife were just trying to enjoy a movie. Like, just leave me alone, man. Like,
Were you laughing? Were you yelling at the screen?
no, it wasn't even in the movie theater. It was like outside, and I mean, literally nothing happened. I think he was just like trying to win a bet or something.
He's from Goodlettsville.
Yeah.
So he was. Wait. I feel like there's a piece to this we're missing.
You know
Now-
what? That is the trick. I felt like there was a piece to it missing too. I went, "Do you think I'm somebody else? Like, do I owe you money or something? Like, or do you think I don't? I was just like you, man. I was going,
Is that little piece called like meth or something? Like what's
I guarantee you it was something. I mean, either somebody was filming behind a trash can and they were like, "All right, go ahead. This guy right here, he looks like a chump. Go get him." You know, like
you were just hyped up. It was a really good movie. You know, you leave it and you got a lot. You know, you got a lot to do. You know,
it was on the way out actually. So
yeah, that Christopher Nolan really gets you amped up and fighting. You know,
that's
Never
right.
gone to a movie in Rivergate. Not gonna lie.
hey, let's not take a dump on Rivergate. Okay, come on.
There you go. There you go.
Well,
There's good people
you
there.
would be shocked at what Rivergate looks like right now. I was down there a couple of days ago just scouting to see how some stores were doing, and it's like ghost town.
Wow.
This is right now.
Well, yeah. I mean, right now especially.
I mean, they are
Yeah.
on complete lockdown. It feels like.
Well, that sucks.
It's great.
It was like, wow.
That sucks. Yeah, I mean, man, it's, whatever. It's hard to talk about it without going into politics. But hopefully let's just say hopefully this is almost done.
Well, we're just going on the whole. Let's see, we date stamp. Here's our date stamps at the end today. August 31st, 2020. We're still on coronavirus lockdown, but we're making waves, coming up with new things. I think it's great that you're getting your online presence going. I mean, with or without coronavirus, our online presences are going to be important for the future careers of musicians. I personally believe.
Yep.
I don't think that's a political statement. I just think that's where the music business is going. Budgets from record labels are dropping like it's worse than it's ever been. I mean, I'm looking at bands coming out of college spending the same amount of money that record labels want to spend. So,
Yeah. I sat down with a girl who was a small business consultant, when I was getting started back in the beginning of the summer. And, she was telling me all the stuff about social media and marketing and all this. This is to your point about where music is going. And especially for guys like us, she said, well, it's a really good thing, Caleb. And I went, how do you figure? I can't see how this is. I mean, I'm willing to go to it because music is what I know how to do. I don't know how to work on cars, or I'd go work in a garage, like this is what I know how to do. She said, well, you're not getting any younger and your looks are not getting any better. She said, so at a point, you're not going to be the face people want to hire anyways. And I was like, dang, she just dropped a whole bunch of truth bombs on me all at one time. You basically said I'm getting to be unhandsome, if that's even a word. I'm getting to be old, and people aren't going to want to hire me because I don't look cool anymore. I was like, dang, woman. So yeah, I'm going online now.
Where old guys can be successful again.
Man, yeah, but I can. You know,
Yeah.
whatever. You don't have to be handsome to do that.
But nobody wants to pay to have you do that anymore either. The games have really changed. That's for another time.
I mean, why not just like a lot of 80s hair bands going into the future, why don't you just be in complete denial and like keep your hair long and wear tight leather pants even after you gain some weight in your mid 40s and just go out there and just sell it anyway?
Well, I think Caleb's always been the flat-billed baseball hat ever since I've known him.
That's true. That's true. That's probably a little of that Gastonia. Oh yeah, yeah. 100%.
Long hair's not working for Caleb, man.
So I don't know if you know this or not, Randy, but me and Fred Durst are from the same hometown.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So it's a little.
Well, that's why you look like Fred Durst.
So it's a little of the Limp Bizkit thing coming out. Yeah. I don't know if I should say that out loud.
That's a whole nother discussion, I feel like.
Right.
I feel like this is a tip of an iceberg.
That's right. Correct it. Correct the ship now. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I get and people go, "Oh, is that Derek Trucks?" Oh, no.
Oh, you do look like Derek Trucks. Yeah, you do. Man, that's great.
Or I get tapped on the shoulder. Hey, miss. That one.
Like, what is it, 1965? Come on, dude. Hey, listen, I tell you a funny Derek Trucks story. So he used to come around here a lot. How long is your show, guys?
We normally go half hour to an hour. We're at 50 minutes.
I can stop talking.
We're free for all, man. It's
okay.
I want to that thing that you love about live music. I love about live podcasts.
Yeah, especially if you get somebody who doesn't shut up very well on.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, no, it's just a funny story. Long time ago, this was before school actually. We used to go and follow the Derek Trucks band around. Now this is before they had the Tedeschi trucks and all that. So
yeah,
we would go and man, they would come around to the Charlotte area all the time. I mean, like few times a year, and because they were a Florida, I think, based band, maybe
Jacksonville,
yeah, and so they would come. We go see them for $8 at like a 500 seat theater, and it was awesome. And it was one of those things where you could like sit right on the monitor, like you could prop up on the monitor and sit there. So I was at this club called the Visualite Theater. I was like 18 years old or something. And I was on Truck's monitor. So it was like front, like right up there. There was no seats. It was just, you're up there. And he was so socially kind of awkward at the time. Like I just don't know if he's just a real introverted guy or what, but he never has any expression. You know that. You've seen him play.
Super.
There's zero expression, and which is fine. Like, who gives a crap? Listen to his slide playing. He doesn't need expression. But everybody's not Gary Moore, But one of the things he would do, so I hopefully, I don't know if you'll get this effect on camera, but Randy, you be me, okay? Like, you're right there sitting on the front row and I'm him. And this is what he did all night long. Okay. He went. And he just kept
you had something on your face,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It just kept looking at me and I was going, man, like, this is so much fun, but God, this is kind of awkward, dude. Why are you keep looking at me like that? I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was like, oh man.
And now you've been on stage a whole bunch. He's probably looking over you.
he was like, is that Fred Durst?
Keep rolling.
I'll be loving this.
LIMP Biscuit is right here. People in the house. Listen, don't even get me going. I can do it.
We don't care. Then we don't care. Yeah.
That's right. You have kids watching this, I'm sure, so we have to edit like every other word.
Yeah, that well. For those of you who don't know, I record these videos because of that purpose.
Oh, we didn't know that.
it's always me. But man, Caleb Davis Music, everybody, it's so much fun having you on. It's so good to see you again too, man.
Absolutely,
I love the last
so
record.
good to see.
I put it in my Spotify rotation and just blast it. I don't have a CD player, so I mean, unless you're printing vinyl, you know, if you print vinyl, let me know. I'll definitely purchase a vinyl, but I don't even own a CD player anymore.
Oh, that's all good, man. It's the sad things that are becoming obsolete. I love the fact that vinyl outsold CDs last year, though.
Yeah,
you
like
see that?
A lot. It wasn't even like close. It was a lot.
My wife's a big vinyl collector. She loves, like, it's what we do. We have 4 kids, and like, you know, they're all homeschooled, so they're all here all the time, and we do lots of records all day. So my wife is not a musician at all, but she loves music, and she loves to like enrich the kids' lives with music all the time. It's great.
Oh, that's so excellent, man.
It's the family thing. We all gather around the turntable. We try to keep it old school at the Davis house.
Nice.
I love it, man. Well, it was so good to have you on.
Dude, thanks for having me on, man. Absolutely.
We'll put links in the description, everybody. Make sure you check that stuff out. Like, subscribe, share. Head over to Caleb Davis Music. Hit subscribe. Head over to Aaron King Guitar Lessons and hit subscribe. Hit subscribe on our channel. Geesh, more people are watching it than subscribed. We've already hit that point. So that's a good thing to have. I love it. Thank you guys so much. We'll catch you next time, all right? And then you got to wait for the mouse.